a little Bohemian Rhapsody tonight, gentlemen. This 1992 comedy is a favorite of ours, The Heavy Metal Hangover, and there's no way that I'm going to miss the opportunity to talk about it as the next metal movie. Wayne's World is a 1992 comedy starring Dana Carvey and Mike Myers as two rock fans that are kind of meandering through life. They've got a feeble cable access show that a lot of people really love, but they've got no real drive, no real goals in life. So along comes Benjamin, a rich executive who decides he wants to basically steal the show and sell it to the arcade owner, or sell it as, basically market it to arcade owner Noah Vanderhoff to kind of get him, as the sponsor and, obviously get access to that sweet arcade money because kids keep coughing up quarters. It's, they navigate the pitfalls of business. In the meantime, Wayne meets the love of his life, Cassandra, at the Gasworks, a real cool heavy metal bar. And, comedy ensues. Benjamin tries to steal Cassandra away from Wayne. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll hurl. Check out the rest. At the end, everything works out, at least in one of the endings. It's a favorite of ours here at the Heavy Metal Hangover, and I wanted to talk about it tonight as the next metal movie. Really and truthfully, its impact on rock and metal can't be unfelt. I mean, really and truthfully, it was one of the first Saturday Night Live movies to really, really hit pay dirt and really, really be successful. There's a string of really bad ones. There was the ladies' man. There was the one with the cheerleader. I can't remember her. She stuck her hands in her armpits. Mary Catherine, I don't know, whatever. Superstar, I think it was called. Night at the Roxbury. Now, some of those have become cult films, and some of them do have their fans. So I'm not saying they were bad, but Wayne's World was a whole other level. It was actually financially successful. It was directed by Penelope Spheris, who did the Decline of Western Civilization documentary series. I love that series. It's really cool. I think it's streaming on a bunch of free channels if you want to check it out. Documentary on like the punk scene, the metal scene, and then what came after. So she, if you ever know anything about Penelope Spheris, she's actually really into rock and metal. So it was cool that somebody who really loved the music was directing this film, who understood and can deliver comedy. But it was, the first, a lot of the words came out of this film like "not" and "yeah, right," and of course "swing," and it kind of, I don't know. It was made at a time when rock was still cool. When Aerosmith was still one of, I guess they still are a major band, but when they were like one of the biggest bands on the planet, when ripped jeans and leather jackets and all that jazz were still the norm. Alice Cooper's cameo is still absolutely legendary. You can't beat. Yes, Pete, it is. As a matter of fact, isn't Milwaukee? As a matter of fact, isn't Milwaukee an Indian name? Yes, Pete, it is. That scene is amazing. Milwaukee's had its fair share of visitors, and the most interesting thing about Milwaukee is it's the only city to have elected 3 socialist mayors. I did not know that. It's funny because that was one of those scenes where Alice Cooper got to be. That's more of what he's like, and I'm not saying he's sitting there like reciting history, but Alice Cooper always talks about, I am not Alice Cooper off the stage. So it was kind of cool. And I love, of course, I want to know how many times Alice Cooper has had people walk up to him and do the, we're not worthy. And if he does the, anyways, the soundtrack is awesome. It's got, let's see what's on here. It's got Tia Carrere. Of course, it made Bohemian Rhapsody. It reawoke that interest in that song. That song, I think, was a bigger hit after Wayne's World than it was before Wayne's World. You also have on here, of course, you have Cinderella with Hot and Bothered. You have Time Machine by Black Sabbath from the Dio. Well, it's actually off the Dehumanizer, so technically it's off the Dio Years, but it is a Dio song. It's when he returned to the band for a short time for that Dehumanizer album. You also have Tia Carrere does a couple songs. Alice Cooper, of course, Feed My Frankenstein. Tons of other cool songs. Chili Peppers are on here. And of course, I think one of the most famous things is No Stairway, Denied. Wayne goes in and decides to play a little guitar riff, and the person stops him and points to a No Stairway Denied sign. Because the joke was every kid who walked into a guitar store in 1992 was playing Stairway to Heaven. What's really cool, and I'm not sure how many know this, if you've watched the movie on home video, you always wondered, that's what he played wasn't Stairway to Heaven. I don't understand why you would think that was Stairway to Heaven. Well, when the home video was released, and I think this goes all the way back to the first VHS, they didn't actually have the rights to Stairway to Heaven, and Led Zeppelin is notoriously difficult to get the rights to their songs. So I guess they had to overdub it with some random guitar lick or whatever, and you were kind of have to use your imagination. What's cool is the 4K. The 4K of Wayne's World actually restored the actual riff, the Stairway to Heaven riff. So it makes a little bit more sense now. So I guess they worked out the rights issues and were able to restore that original track. Makes a lot more sense now. The other cool thing is, it talks about selling out and commercial. The sellout scene in that movie to this day, I don't know how many of you, but I know me and Duff all the time will be like, it's just people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad as he's sitting there in all Reebok gear. Yes, and it's the choice of the new generation. Drinks a Pepsi. Has the bag of Doritos, reaches in. I love that whole scene. But really and truthfully, a lot of the 90s phrases came out of that movie, as I mentioned a few of them. But, the other thing I like to do as part of this is some of my favorite quotes. Of course, there's Party on Wayne, Party on Garth. And then when they, of course, get taken over in the show, Party on Garth, I guess. It's so cool. Of course, Schwing's the big one. We're not worthy. No stairway. Denied. I don't know how many times I've gone to a guitar store and picked up a guitar, as lame as that sounds, and said, no stairway. Denied. I actually used to have, I made a replica of the No Stairway to Heaven sign and actually hung it in my room when I was a teenager. That's how big of a dork I was. I guess I still am. Let's see what else. I mean, they have, excuse me, a baking powder. If you're going to spew into this little cup, hands him a little cup. Phil, you're partied out. Again. No way. And monkeys might fly out of my butt, of course. And then, did you ever find Bugs Bunny attractive when he put on a dress and dressed up, played Girl Bunny? Neither did I was just asking. One of my all-time favorites, though, is when his ex-girlfriend shows up and she hands him a present. It's a gun rack. A gun rack. I don't own a gun, let alone many guns that would necessitate an entire rack. I love that. If she were a president, she'd be Abraham Lincoln. It's just it's a classic movie, what was it? Led Zeppelin didn't write tunes everybody liked. They left that to the Bee Gees. Classic film. Let me know what some of your favorite Wayne's World quotes from the first movie are down below in the comments. And it's a snapshot in time. It's so 90s. It's nothing funny. So whether you want to, look back at the 90s with fondness and kind of like relive your glory days or whatever, but if you haven't watched it in a while, I suggest you do. And like I said, the 4K is cool. I'm not being paid to say that. I bought this myself, but it's so cool to have that. As stupid as it sounds, it's so cool to have that little Stairway to Heaven riff in there. But this has been another Metal Movies. It has been Wayne's World. If you have anything you'd like to see in the Metal Movies category, I know that there's a few people, few of our listeners and our viewers now, I guess, that have submitted some movies, and I'd love to go over them and drop them down in the comments. Send us a message. We're on Instagram, The Heavy Metal Hangover, and listen. The show will be returning soon, I hope. But in the meantime, Rex is going to try me. I'm going to speak in the third person because I'm that cool. I'm going to try and do some more videos and do some more rankings. I also want to try a new thing on the show called Rex's Random Record Reviews, and effectively that means I'm going to shake my Spotify, shake my Discogs, which has my entire record collection in it, and whatever, as long as it's metal or rock, I'm going to listen to that album with fresh ears, like really pay attention and hone in on it, and then just basically do a quick 2-3 minute review on the record, pick out some favorite tracks, and tell you what I think. So if that's something you'd like to see, let me know in the comments. But in the meantime, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.